What's up everyone? Welcome back to another Diesel Dog Garage video. Thought I'd do a little video today going over the oil pressure issues that these 5.3 GM motors have that they put in their trucks, Tahoes, Suburbans, more specifically the 07 to 13 models. A lot of you probably already know these things have oil pressure issues where the screen under the oil pressure sensor plugs up or the oil pressure sensor itself goes bad. Your oil pressure drops to zero, bells start ringing, tells you to stop the engine. You may think you have an engine going out, but it's probably not the case. First thing to do is always check your oil level, of course. If that looks good, then this is probably what you got going on here. I'm gonna show you where the sensor sits. Then I have the actual AFM manifold off one customer vehicle, and I can show you more clearly what you're actually looking at underneath the intake here. First thing you're gonna be doing is getting your plastic cover off here. Really easy, snaps off like that. Now it's gonna be kind of hard to pick up on camera, but right through that hole there, right past there, down in the bottom there, you can see a connector. That is your oil pressure sensor. It looks like it's impossible to get to, but you can get a socket and extension from the back side here onto that sensor. Sometimes it takes some fidangling to get that connector off there. A long pick will help, or possibly a screwdriver can get it. And then for me, it's a 27mm deep well socket I use with a swivel extension up to here, and then I can get on it with a ratchet. Basically from behind the intake, you're gonna be right here getting on that thing. Now I actually did a video a couple years on this same exact issue. It wasn't a very good quality video. I didn't really go into depth too much, but I'm getting a ton of questions on that crude little video I made about this same exact issue. People ask me questions. I thought I'd do another video and kind of go more in depth on what you're actually looking at. Plus actually having an AFM manifold, the VLOM, what they call them, out in the open, it's kind of better to just to see exactly what you're looking at. A better representation of what you're really getting into if you're trying this on your own. Just helps to have things explained a little more than just me showing you where the sensor's at and then leaving you hanging dry. So here is what you're actually looking at underneath the intake there. Oil pressure sensor where it sits. Basically what you're gonna be doing is getting that socket on there, taking it out of there. The screen we all refer to sits underneath the oil pressure sensor there. Once you get down in there, you see a screen. A couple different ways to get this thing out of there. Kind of tough with it in the vehicle like that, but it is doable. Now this screen can be kind of tricky to get out. I've got a screwdriver here. A long pick works best, but basically you're just finding something to wedge in there, draw it out of there. And that's the screen you're looking for. This one is a lot cleaner than the screens you'll probably pull out of there. It'll be plumb full of black, carbon, sludge, everything else will be all sludged up, and that's typically what causes low oil pressure reading. Real simple. Now in my last video, I advised that you can just discard this and put your new oil pressure sensor in there. I used to do that with almost every single one. I have slowly been starting to put a new screen back in there, only because these things are so bad with lifters collapsing now. And if you think about it, this screen sits between your oil flow and all the oil passing through your VLOM into your lifters for the DOD collapse. So any kind of failure you might have in your engine, if you do have a mechanical failure where it's circulating metal shavings or any kind of contamination through your oil, it can get down into there, into those lifters, and possibly cause a lifter failure since they're prone to them anyways. Or you can gamble and just leave this out of there, and then you should have a longer lifespan on your new oil pressure sensor that you put back in. So just another reference for you guys, this is how this thing is going to be laid in the engine, front to back. Back being where your oil pressure sensor threads into. That will be under your intake. Book time tells you to pull the intake. The intake's actually pretty easy to pull. But if you want to get around that, you can replace that without pulling the intake. So anyways, guys, I thought I'd just make this little video on this particular issue on these engines since I'm getting so many questions. There's a lot of YouTube videos really getting into depth and explaining the inner workings of the DoD system and everything, or the AFM system, however you refer to it. But this is my kind of short take on the oil pressure sensor issue with these engines. Super common issue. I had the same thing with my personal vehicle here, 2010 Silverado with the 5.3. That's when I did that previous video. And since then, I've been getting loads of questions about it. Trying to answer everyone's questions. Hopefully this video answers a few more of those questions. But any other questions you might have, feel free to ask. I'm doing my best to answer everyone. So hope you enjoy this video. Hope it was helpful to you guys. If you liked it, subscribe, like, comment me what you've ran into with your Silverados and how you fixed them. Curious to know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.